And we have the Bombshell. The Bombshell. Michael Burch design. Beautifully done. Nice kind of heavy stonewash finish on that CPM 20CV steel blade by Spyderco. Made in their Taiwan factory. And there's, of course, Burch, his logo on here. The Bombshell. And yes, it was a bombshell yesterday evening when I was out at the pub with my wife, and then I was just like flicked it to show it off. It fell out of my hands, hit the tile floor like 4 foot down, skidded across the floor, and I picked it up, and I think about crapped myself going, good Lord, $280 knife. Here we go. And I looked over it for damage. Looks good, doesn't it? Thank goodness for G10. G10 is a really great material. I love it. If that would have been titanium, it'd have been all over but the crying. But this is a sturdy little bombshell, is for sure. And this came in a flash batch. Okay, according to Michael Janich, which I spent time talking to on the phone today at Spyderco, flash batch. This is like a sprint run, only it's a run of knives that has never been a production knife. Where if you have a paramilitary 2 in like Rex 45, that's a sprint run because they've made the PM2. It's a standard issue knife. It's been out there. So this would have been a sprint run had they issued this knife, you know, in a regular like black G10 with an S30V blade, blah, blah, blah. And then they came out with green scales and CPM 20 CV. But no, they've never made this before. So it's a flash batch of 1,250 knives. And my knife is number, and they have it on the little tag there, 662. And it sold out super quick, and it comes in a zipper pouch. There's your little plastic you put the knife in. And then here's the paperwork. They pre-crunch it at the factory. Flash batch. And just, I mean, you know, Michael Janich, I mean, he reminded me again. I remembered when I talked to him at the SHOT Show 2020, but he reminded me he does this paperwork, okay? And this is nice that Spyderco gives you this information about your specific knife. So you look in the box of whatever knife and there's paperwork in there, and you can read about it because they will talk about the specific knife you got, whether it's a sprint run, a flash batch, whatever, or standard issue. Okay, so it talks about Michael Burch in here, talks about the 20 CV blade, the green G10, and all that kind of titanium liners, etc., etc. How to care for it and all that. So there you go. We will disassemble this knife to take a look inside. Titanium liners. So I posted on my Instagram and said, yeah, check it out. It's cool. I love it. And then a guy goes, oh, wow, titanium liners. They have a hardened steel insert in here because you got titanium interfacing with this. No, but let's take a look at it closer when we disassemble it, because I looked in there with a flashlight and I was like, ooh, it kind of looked like it at first, but no, it's differentially colored there. And I was told, and they have it when they talked about the Spidey Chef, I think, that they cover the end of this. When they get done heat treating and doing all that, they cover the end of this lock bar with tape, and then they finish the rest of the liner. But they leave that the way it came out, and they don't do any more finishing. So hopefully it prevents it from having that. And I'm not getting any lock stick at all. So that's a good thing. Let's take a look at some just basics of this knife. It's not a big knife. Okay, 0.154, that's gonna be close to 4 millimeters. Yeah, 3.91 millimeters as far as blade stock. It's thick. It's pretty thick blade stock. About 15 millimeters. So it's 6/10 of an inch. It's contoured G10, kind of that olive drab. Real heavy stonewash finish. Oh, by the way, will the knife be a knife? It's sharp. This is interesting because doesn't this drops like bearings. If any of you guys have these, that's what I thought at first. I go, oh, there's bearings in here. I didn't think that was any big deal because most of the knives I get seems like they have bearings. But this has got bronze washers. How nice is that drop? Check those washers out, but we will more when we pull it apart. One thing about that, I always go, why not a choil? Two reasons here as far as a sharpening choil. Number one, you can grind your own in, but if they ground one in for the production, then you can't undo it. So that is what they said for one thing. Number two, they're trying to be as faithful to Michael Burch's design as possible. So that's the way the design went. That's the way they manufactured it. I think they were also saying that, you know, the choil can hang up on various things when you're doing cutting tasks. And so, you know, that's just one of those other observations they had. I don't know. To me, I kind of like to have a little sharpening choil. I don't think that would have been bad if they would have put a choil in there regardless. But, okay, they didn't, and they didn't. That's a heavy lock up there. That's 50%. Easy, 60, you know. And those are some heavy titanium liners, which begs the question, you know, how heavy is it? It's 128 grams. And it's 4.5 ounces, and it's not a real big knife. So 4.5 ounces, it's pretty robust there. 3 and a 7, yeah. 3-inch blade, which is, if we could hold on here, 77 millimeters and about 17.5, a little over 17.5 centimeters long. Hollow grind on the blade. Should be a nice little cutter. It seems sharp. I like the ergos on it are really good, although I'm really right off the end. Guys with bigger hands, this is going to be a 3-finger knife. Reverse grip is actually more comfortable, and I get everything on there, so that's good. Balance point on this, ooh, I'm getting right up under that stop under here for the balance, which is good. Nice contoured G10 scales, back spacer matches, and that's steel. I thought that was titanium, but definitely the liners are titanium, nothing holding on there. Nope, that's steel. Okay. Blade to handle length. Okay, we got it all. I think we just got it all right there. Right there. Perfect, really, perfect. Centered. No blade plate, no lock rock. Pretty solid. I mean, nothing overly fancy with the hardware. And it's up to you to decide whether $280 is all the money. I think it's all the money, that's for sure. I mean, you got G10 with a C, 20 CV blade. Okay, that's top of the line stuff. And I think they do a great job with their heat treat from the testing that we've done in the past and the Rockwells and this and that. So that's good. So they're solid. They're solid. But G10, 20 CV, titanium liners, 280. I'd say that, yeah, that's all the money. Feels good in the hand, just a nice little knife. You don't have a choil where you can go up front here. Kind of would have been nice, but it's fat, it's unsharpened, so you could actually grip it like this. Got a bit of a thumb ramp here, but there's no jimping here either. That might have been nice to do as well, do you think? A little bit of jimping along here. Since it's a smaller knife and you might want to choke up on it to do some fine work, I don't think that would have been anything to hurt the looks of the knife, but it definitely could have aided in the tactile response there. And it's a pretty fine grain here, so it's not real grippy on that G10. You see where they did a little bit of machining out here. Gives you an area to come through and disengage. And it gets over the detent ball pretty reasonably, so you can just drop it. It gives it a fidget factor. So I'm gonna pull this apart because I think it's probably interesting. Take a look at this. And I did the other day. I pulled this apart the day I got it. And that's why this came out so easily. One thing I gotta say is they definitely get these screws planted in here, and I'm not a big fan of how hard they slam these screws in there. Not at all. See, they're coming out real easy for me, but this is how I put them in there. And you know, you don't need that much pressure on them. Whew! Good Lord Almighty. So here comes the G10 scale. See these little placement pins in here? I think they did that on the Subvert as well, Spyderco Subvert. So there you go with that. And so now that you're down to the liner, check it out. You've got more screws. And baby, they had these planted too. Really, really way tighter than they needed to be. They're not shy about doing that. It just makes it, you know, really borderline where you might strip the inside of one of these screws and then you will scream. So you got to make sure you have a real, you know, this is getting a little worn here. So nice hardened steel, especially when they're number 6, hardened steel bit here where it's fresh, it's new, you know, and then you put it on these screws and then you push to make sure it stays planted and it doesn't start skipping. And you push hard and turn and you'll finally break it loose. But don't be cavalier about it, because otherwise you're going to start boogering up the insides of those screws. And that's a no bueno good. That's no bueno. It's not good. Come here. Can't see through this damn camera. There you go. Get out of there. Okay, we lost 1, we lost 2, we lost 3. Now we're done, okay? Now, have we done enough screws? God, I hope so. Here we go. I thought what was interesting about this, it looks like there's a washer there, doesn't it? So when they stonewashed this, what did they do to this? I don't know. I don't know if they taped over that surface or what they used to get through kind of the finish here, or was this just developed by the bronze washer since it's been assembled? I don't think so. I think this was done at the production facility to facilitate that nice smooth action, and it does do well that way. But there you go, both sides. Little bit of a, you know, area there as well. But that looks interesting, doesn't it? Check this out. Take the bronze washer off. Pretty thick, pretty nice bronze washer. But look at that area as well on the blade. Interesting, huh? Flip side? Yep, same. Detent ramp? No. There's your track. Okay, and then here, now, a D-shaped pivot, all one piece, that I can tell, unless that screw's just slammed in there, and it might be, I don't know. But there you go, D-shaped pivot, and then there's your bronze washer, and then there's that interesting area that's cleared out, and you can see how this is D-shaped here. Keeps that pivot from turning. So you really got to take it out on the front side. Number 662 of 1250, you can see the print on here. And then see where this lock bar is? Apparently according to the chain or the thread on Spyderco forums, they're saying, yeah, it's like they tape that off to keep that from being finished like this. And therefore, I mean, this is after the heat treat of this to preserve this. And there's what you got. Interesting, huh? Whatever it is, it's not creating lock stick. So that's a good thing. And there's your blade stop. So it's not complicated. Okay, we got it laid out. Not difficult to put back together. We took it from the front side, so I'm going to put this back in on the back into the squared off area through here, okay? So then we got our washer. Then we got our blade. And then we got a washer. And then we got a liner. And it don't look too difficult, does it? Not at all, but now we got these 3 little screws. Need to get fed back in there. Good enough. Good. Slap this on, get these little areas to locate on the scales. There we go. And these little scale screws are number 6s as well. Good. Drops right in. No problem. Pivot. Don't want to get it too tight. Don't want to ruin the action on it, but you want to keep it from having play. So has it got play? Yes, it does. So we need to take it down more. Center it up. That should take the play out of it. Not quite. Wow, that's plenty. That's got to be plenty. Yeah, it took the play out of it all right. And it took the drop out of it too. Let's just back it off a skosh. Okay, good. Centered. Okay. No play. There's not a whole lot of room for adjustment there. You get it to where there's no play, but you can go a little too far where you lose your drop here. So you got just a real tiny window where you have it to where there's no play, but it still has a drop, and a nice drop. You can give it a little bit of play if you want and have an easier drop. I've got kind of the best of the both worlds. It's got a decent drop, but there's no play. All right, I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you so much. Yeah, the Bombshell, Michael Burch, Spyderco, great materials, feels great in the hand, good balance. I like it. I think this is, maybe one of the better renditions they've done like this. Spyderco Subvert, not so much. And the Paysan Rosenti, no. But this, yes. Yes, I do. Take care, my friends. You know what we do around here. We love them knives. So you guys stay sharp.